Great Notion Brewing. We keep beer fun.
I want everyone to know that this was like, I made you do this twice, and still I'm like, I need energy. I need energy.
All right. No, you'll get the energy. You'll get all the F-bombs. Once we start going, trust me, I get energy.
No F-bombs. No F-bombs.
I literally can't have a conversation.
No, I don't care. Hi, this is Paul. So everyone, this is Paul. This is like a classmate. Well, like Paul and I did our MBAs together. And yes, you can talk and literally no, like you can do, like you say anything else, no F-bombing on this podcast.
I promise to try my best.
Okay. Because I don't edit. Dude, I don't have the time to edit. So like, it's like, this is what it is.
Kids can hear curse words. It's okay.
I don't care. No. Former teacher, no. My God, this is like, literally, this is like the most like high energy already, where people are like, this is the way this podcast is going to start. Yes, this is the way it started. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Jody, how are you? Long time no see. I miss you.
So Paul and I did our MBAs together at Babson College, and I want everyone to know who you are and get to know everything about you, because my best memory of you is, let's see, we were in Korea and we were on a bus, and then all of a sudden you start rapping, and that by far is one of my favorite memories of you. But there's so much more of you that we'll get to. So you are a business owner of a small business that is absolutely amazing. I want to hear so much about it, because this is something that I don't think you were ever going to go into, but I want people to understand who you are from the start. So
sure. Before
the business, before the education, who is Paul and where are you right now?
Got it. From Philadelphia originally, still diehard Philly fan. I live in Portland, Oregon, moved here about 15 years ago. Father's a roofer, working class family. And that's why normally the F-bombs flow, normally it's like every fifth word from in the Northeast. Yeah, I don't know. It's, let's see. So fast forward today, I own a brewery. Maybe I could do time jump.
No. What are you time hop? You can't. Well, all right. Oh my God, you are driving me crazy already.
I'm just joking. You know what's funny? Normally I flip the interviews. When I'm getting interviewed, I normally end up doing the interviewing too. That's what happens when you talk to people.
It is such a Robin Williams thing to do, to flip. Like I have total control of this entire interview. All right, if we're gonna go that route, we are gonna go that route. If you time flip, it has to be consistent and has to be good. So let's just see how you could do this. So
yeah, I can't.
All right. Well, I want to start at the beginning. Do you have siblings in Philadelphia? Like, you are from Philly, so like.
Yeah, we're from Philly, Temple University. Loved hip hop.
You went from birth to Temple University, really? Really, you want to go?
Talk about elementary school? We don't talk about elementary school.
But just tell me about in regards of your dad was like a working class guy, and then you just it went away.
And it went away? Didn't go away.
It went away. Then it went away. Then you stopped talking about it. Then you just jumped. So, I could.
All right. Let me tell you why I did not become a roofer. There was one summer, I was about 15. We're working on some church in North Philly, right? Real bad neighborhood. The foreman of the job is named Toof, because he's got like one tooth, right? Yeah. There's an A-frame roof like this. And somehow I let this dude hold me by my legs off the edge of the roof to go under and do something with the gutter. I don't remember. But at that point I was just like, whoa, Dad, I'm done. I'm never getting on a roof again, dude. I'm done. I'm working in computers, or I'm going to run a record label or whatever, but I'm definitely not fucking going to, sorry, flipping going to be a roofer.
Oh my God, this is going to be so hard.
You got to talk about roofing. It comes out. Sorry, we'll keep moving. I apologize, everyone. But yeah, so that's how I knew I wasn't going to be a roofer. Okay. Went to Temple.
So wait. So your mom, so your dad was a roofer. How many? Okay, is it just you in the family, or are there more of you?
Got a sister. She's in Philly. She's helping. What does she do? She has an amazing job helping save the world. She works with AIDS patients. Something like Action
Amazing.
Yeah, she's doing the most amazing thing. So, I love having people in my family who do great. Like my wife, kindergarten teacher, for example. And then I always talk to other people who, I don't know, two parents work, right? And it's like, so one person does a save the world kind of job. The other person makes the money or whatever, so I eventually got into tech sales and made some money, whatever. That was my job.
All right. So when you went to Temple, all right, I'll skip around because you're just touching base on a couple things.
No, I do love talking about Temple though. Temple was great being in Philly.
Wait. Before Temple, before Temple, you were, Philly all the time. hardcore cusser. You like to cuss.
Like to cuss, yeah.
How was it being raised in Philly?
I didn't live. So sorry. Let me be clear, just so people aren't gonna be. He didn't live in Philly, whatever. So did live in Philly up until like middle school. Then literally a half hour away. It's a suburb that's like it's like 22 minutes away. Whatever. It's called Ben Salem. So
Okay.
did go to a suburb high school out there, right?
Okay.
But it's an easy train ride into the city. Used to go to shows downtown, but still totally immersed in the culture. I don't know. Started at computer science major at first, then switched it to. So I got the computer science minor, but switched to journalism, public relations, and advertising. They call it JPRA. Kind of bunch everything together.
Okay.
But I thought I wanted to run my own record label, and eventually did a cool internship in New York at Columbia Records. So worked in the Sony building. There's some cool stories, like for example, am I allowed to talk about drugs since we can't curse?
You can talk about drugs.
Okay, but
I worked in radio. I know it well. So
yeah,
go for it.
I got to ride in the back of a limo and smoke weed with like Cypress Hill while they're talking about, selling sawed-off shotguns and stuff in the back of the limo. Got to ride up elevators with like Bruce Springsteen. I don't know, Fuji's all the time. Like every day there was like, I met Beyonce. I ran and got Chinese food for Destiny's Child. Like, so lots of cool memories of just being some punk little intern, told to do all the dirty work, but it was still fun. It was amazing when you're like 19 or whatever, fake ID in New York. It was like best summer of my life.
Well, that's the same thing. Like when I was in my late 20s, I got into radio. I mean, I was like a teacher in the Brockton and Sharon school system in the suburbs here. And I switched over and I worked in radio. I became a radio show intern and then a producer. And like I was Lenny Kravitz walking through with like a long purple fur coat, and you're like, okay, this is my work here. And then whether you're with like Jason Priestley one day, Sylvester Stallone the other day, and it was like the most unreal thing when you're younger and you're doing these jobs, because I don't think that a lot of younger people have the opportunity just to walk into these internships or walk into these jobs, and people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'd walk into the studio, there'd be like lines of cocaine, and people are like, what do you mean? What did you do? I'm like, I walked out. Like, I mean, it was part of the world back then. So yeah, good experiences.
Very good. So I don't know.
You went from computer science to music.
Journalism, public relations, advertising.
Like, they're just, especially at the time, computer science is not like what it is now. Whereas like,
I wanted to make video games. I realized I sucked at coding. I realized I was horrible. I was like, yeah, I definitely am never going to make my own video game. Although it's funny, literally right now I'm making my own video game, but I'm just not doing the coding. I'm paying someone to do it.
So computer science, like now where people are coding in regards of like, I go building Amazons of the world and things like that. And so Facebook, you're in it, you're playing tons of video games. You're thinking this is the world. You go and you get your degree. Is your degree in which one? What is your degree?
So I switched it to be, I realized I sucked at, I got through enough credits.
Yep.
With like C's and D's, and realized like I am horrible at coding. Like logic is not my thing. I'm better at talking to people, selling things, marketing. Let me go into public relations. I can definitely talk to media and sell people things, and I want to do music, so I figured that was a great avenue for me. But luckily I kept the computer science minor just because I had enough credits.
And then so you graduated with a minor in computer science and a major in journalism.
Journalism, public relations, advertising, all kind of lumped in. Yep.
Why Temple?
And then my last internship in college was with an agency. So that's when I like officially started, working for agencies for a couple of years.
Okay, wait, why Temple?
So I actually went to Millersville for 2 years, which is some like school 2 hours outside of Philly. I missed all my friends. I missed Philly. I didn't want to be in some weird heck neighborhood, whatever, Farmville. So transferred back, I was like, no, I got to be with my boys. I got to be in the city. I'm trying to rap. I'm trying to run a record label and DJ. And I tried every instrument and everything under the sun, made beats, DJ, all this. I was like, I got to be back home. I got to be in Philly where all my friends are, This is the late 90s. This is like, so for me, this is like 98 or whatever that I'm talking about. I was like, for me, 90s hip hop's the best music ever. And so this is the time when I wanted to be there. So I started a record label.
All right. So you're in Philly, Fresh Prince, Beastie Boys are out.
He's from Philly, yeah.
People are like, are people thinking you're going to be the next Beastie Boys?
Oh, no. I wasn't that good. So I started out rapping myself. Okay. And just like computer science, I realized what I'm good at and not good at. I realized I suck. I'm not good. I've tried to put out the first record. I got a credit card. You know, when you're in college,
Yep.
they have the table. Chase is like giving out credit cards like it's cabbage or whatever. You know, everyone
For
pays.
as I remember, when I got out of class, a table would be there. They're like, for a bag of M&Ms, you can get your credit card. I'm like, I'm hungry.
Yes. Totally. Yeah. They definitely. What's the word? I don't know. They're vampiros, right? They're the vampires
Yeah.
just sucking in the blood of college students. Yeah. They
Oh
know
yeah,
they're gonna
absolutely.
back up real quick.
All right.
Either
So
way, got a credit card. I was like, I'm starting a record label. Boom. Let me get an MPC. Let me start making beats. Let me put out some vinyl. So put out one record, and I realized I suck. All the other people that are around me are way better. So I'm better at business. I learned quickly. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be the manager, the hype man. I'm gonna book the events. So this is how I cut my teeth in learning like the whole world of just I guess marketing in general, right? So I was like, all right, I'm making flyers. I'm talking to, club owners, booking events. I'm the promoter. I'm out there handing out flyers, doing what do they call it? Just street team stuff. Making stickers, like organizing the times. I'm driving people from point A to point B. I'm picking everyone up. I'm, booking the studio time, doing everything with my little credit card. But I learned how to run a business basically back then. I'm like, whatever I was, 19, 18, 20, whatever. I don't remember, but booking a business running a whole record label. And eventually we put out like 10 records and all vinyl. Back then it was like so actually it was vinyl is what I put out, then also CDs, but then it was right at the time Napster was coming out too. Mm-hmm. So I was one of the first people to like blow our music up on Napster because I'd rename the files. I don't know how I came up with this. I'm sure lots of other people came up with it too, but at the same time I would call ourselves like whatever, Eminem or, like Tribe Called Quest. I would change the name of my files. People would download it. And then it's like, you really downloaded whatever PCP or Rackus Records or whatever it was back then.
So I love the fact that you became like, I mean, you found ways to be super innovative in a spot that you didn't fit in. I feel like I go where when Alan Greenspan wanted to go into jazz and he couldn't, he was horrible. And he would convince jazz players like, hey, if you let me play, I'll do your taxes because I know you guys are bad with your taxes and your money. And then he just like got to play, and he's always had that love, but he was never good at it. But he was good with the money. Mm-hmm. You knew you weren't good at the rapping part. You did it, but you weren't good at it. You found that group of individuals that they believed in you. Did they believe in you because you were already? It was word of mouth. You were already in the system. People were referred to you. Like, how were you finding these artists? How were you building that trust with them?
Sure. So I think it was the hype that I originally started a bunch of hype, was doing stuff online, and there was people that I would go see a show and I'd see someone rapping and they wouldn't have any representation, no manager, like, no clue how to build a website, and they saw me like out there handing out CDs, just hustling, they're like, damn, I want to get with that crew. I think Paul could maybe help blow me up one day or whatever. That's kind of how it started. And since you're from Massachusetts, right, Boston area, there was a big website at the time back then called undergroundhiphop.com. And okay. I'm still friends with a bunch of those guys. One of them, Grass Appeal, shout out to you if you're watching, bought my beer yesterday because we just sent some beer to Boston not too long ago. But yeah, so we would go up. We would drive from Philly to Boston, perform at like the Middle East or wherever, right?
Yep,
and then drive home the same night, dude, and just pull all-nighters, dude. It was bad. It was stupid. We shouldn't have been doing
Well, it's so funny that you say that. So I was like watching like randomly, like, yes, I'm not gonna I love the Jonases. I was watching the Jonases and they said the same exact thing where they're like from New York. I go upstate New York. They would drive to Boston, perform, and then drive back same night. And everyone asked them why. So I'm gonna before I say why they said it, did it. Why did you drive back the same night?
Because I had work the next morning. That's why. I had to be at my desk at whatever 8 a.m. Doing public relations.
So you had you had to be at work. They had no money to stay at a hotel. So they're like, it's just like the fact that like everyone knows top 10 market, you want to perform in that top 10 market. And it's like, and we do love music here. And also the college students, you have an automatic audience of coming here and getting that done. And as a hype man, I mean, you knew where to go, which is amazing.
Well, we would have went anywhere that would have booked
like
us.
How many years? I'm so sorry?
We would have went anywhere that would have booked us, But Boston was definitely a hype place to be in,
I'm not gonna hey, I've been here all my life. I kind of like where I live. It is what you worked in agencies for how long, and what was the draw for you to stay there for such a long time?
At the agents, at whatever agency?
In the agency world.
I jumped from agents. So I worked at one agency for about 2 years, then another for 2 years, and then I think about 2 years. But then I quit and tried to do the record label thing full time. I quickly got, went back to being like a waiter or bartender though, because I couldn't do that full time. So I don't know. I think between 98 to 2004, I worked at different agencies on and off.
Uh, I'm a former media person. I'm not a fan of agencies. I'm not a fan of agencies because I always feel like they are the middle person where you are the barrier to me getting to the celebrity, the artist, the business. Agencies have changed throughout. I mean, like they've changed, they've evolved, they've changed. They've gotten good raps, they've gotten bad raps. Why do you feel that, and agencies are still getting a lot of top dollar. Why do you feel that a lot of businesses are swaying away from them and the larger ones are sticking to them?
Right. I'll tell you why I love them. And I'll tell you why I love them from a couple perspectives. From an employee perspective, I loved it because I got to work on different clients all day long. So like, and I was on the public relations side, not advertising. So I would specialize in media relations. I would write press releases, organize events, cold call reporters. I loved it because I could choose how many hours I want to spend each day on a couple clients. I actually worked for KFC for a couple hours, running like a street team around Philly, handing out coupons for the KFC snacker. So for a couple hours, I'd work on like getting a Toyota Scion and then renting it, wrapping it, and then going and then get a couple people to go hand stuff out. And then a couple hours later, I'd be working on an organic gardening client and like helping plants grow better by putting a pill like in your soil or whatever, So that's why I love it from that perspective. Now, as a business owner who works with a couple different agencies for different things, we have a creative agency. We also have a digital like Facebook, Instagram advertising agency. I love them because they have expertise in things that I don't. So I could search and hire a full-time employee for that. But by working with an agency, I get the opinions of a couple people who are experts in that specific field.
I love that you said that because for small businesses, at the end of the day, you guys are busy. You are busy doing what you love. The product, you're busy and you want to make sure that your product is the best one ever. Just can you explain to people, and you just touched base on it, but most people, I always say marketing and ego come hand in hand. They're like, I'll do it. I can figure it out. I can just do it. I'll sit there and get my kid to do it. I'll get a college student to do it, etc. Why is it so important to get the support to build your business?
To get the support from the agency, you mean?
Agencies or anyone. I mean, to build your business, you are focusing on one item of your business to come up with the best product. Why would you, or why have you worked with other people in the past, in the present and in the past to build a business?
So I did have that ego because marketing was my background and I loved marketing. I did it, I learned in college, did it myself. And I don't even think you learn this stuff. I think you just do it. I wanted the curse right there. You just do it. You just go out there, you call reporters, you come up with ideas yourself. And so for 4 years, I did it myself actually with Great Notion until eventually there was just too much to do. I still come up with I'm still CEO/CMO. I come up with a lot of the ideas that we run with. But it's awesome to have an agency because just one example is we put out, 4 or 5 beers a week and 80% of them are new. Like there'll be 4 new beers a week and 1 we've done before. And so we need fresh ideas to post on Instagram and Facebook, And so the agency, they keep coming up with ideas and they're the ones that execute well on that. Now we also outsource to the Facebook, Instagram advertising company, the digital ad agency, because I know nothing about that. And I know it's a science and I want to do it right. I want to spend money and have it immediately create a return, like immediate creates a download of our new app, which I want to plug and talk about later. Yeah.
You were just saying in regards of you want that quick. That's a problem that you hear all the time where I pay that money, I want it quick and they see no results. So right. Is it really truly quick or is there that moment of like, okay, take a moment, pause. It's not going to be instantaneously.
Well, specifically, if you have an action created on Facebook and Instagram advertising, then it is instantaneous. So you pay a certain dollar amount, right? In our instance, it's for a download of our new app. And, it's whatever, if you're getting great results, it's only a couple bucks, or you can, sometimes you're not getting great results and it's $20, $50, but you're literally paying Facebook to advertising someone and they don't take that money unless that person has downloaded your app. And for me, if people download it, hopefully they're going to buy some beer off it. You can take it a step further and we're going to do that in the next release of our app. We'll put the pixel on the back end, blah, blah, blah. But where we're paying Facebook to then put an ad in someone's thing, they have to download and make a purchase, right? So we'll have to pay more for that, but that is immediate ROI.
Beautiful. All right, now I'm going to time jump. When you went from you're in school, you're doing tech, then you go from tech, then you're like doing like promotions, then you're going to agencies, and then you're starting your business. What did your family think? Because are they supportive, or are they thinking, seriously, dude, what are you like? I mean, figure it out, or coming to roofing?
So they definitely thought I was crazy when I quit my advertising, PR job and started a record label. They thought I was bonkers there, and yeah, they're just like, that's really, really dumb. And I was like, all right, I can always get a new job. I'll get a job, or I'll be a waiter in the meantime. I make good money as a waiter and bartender, like, cash all the time. Those jobs are crazy. You stay up, you go to late night things, you're doing some drugs you talked about earlier. You're just, you're staying up way too late. That's just, it's not good for your soul to do that kind of business. At least it wasn't good for my soul. But I did meet the love of my life around that time. And we talked about a major life change anyway, like moving to the West Coast. So yeah, that was 2005, met my wife. And it's also I met her in 2001. She's going to kill me. Sorry, we met in 2001, but we talked about moving to the West Coast. And so we moved in 2005.
How was she in the realms of you creating your business?
Right. She was totally supportive and helped me like mail records out to media and stuff all the time. But because I just wanted to do more things with her and wanted to, quote unquote, grow up and get a real job. So that did, I feel like, help me fall out of love with running my own record label. Plus, I was having a lot of beefs with the artists. They were too egotistical or thought I was just a guy with a credit card and didn't provide any other expertise, which is total bullshit because none of them ever did anything after that. So I don't know.
You learn really quickly from different industries. And again, I love that you just like, it's the ego, like I'm marking an ego. I say it so often and people are like, stop saying it. I'm like, I go, no, because it can either propel or it can shut down any situation. All right, now again, we meet during our MBA program.
Yeah.
When we were doing the MBA program, what industry were you in at that time?
Tech sales. So I want to tell you how I got there, right?
Okay.
So while I was doing public relations, there was another guy who's like, dude, this is for the birds. I'm going to start doing sales. And something clicked in my brain. We were doing media relations specifically, which is cold calling writing press release, cold calling reporters, trying to convince them to write a story. And then eventually it clicked in like 2004, 2005 for me, is that's literally the same thing as cold calling for sales. You're going to call someone and convince them to buy something. They're either buying a story that they have to write about or they buy a product or whatever, right? And I knew I could kill it at that because I saw my friend do it and I was like, I get as many, media hits as you do. I could do great at it. And so that's why I was like, all right, I want a job in tech sales where there's big commissions. And so that's why when we landed in Portland, I was half looking at agency jobs. So actually we wanted to move to San Francisco. I was 3 interviews deep with an ad agency. And then the client who I would have been working on, they're like, oh, we were totally going to hire you. The client fired the agency. So I didn't get that job. And we're like, all right, our wedding money is going to go a lot further in Portland. So I live in Portland, Oregon now. And so I started looking for tech sales jobs anyway and found one with a company called Smarsh.
All right. So now you're at Smarsh. Now, how does this business start?
One other thing. Hold on.
Oh, I love no. Like, you know what? Again, this is where I find it funny. I want to go step by step by step, and you're like, oh my God, then fast forward. I'm going to go back and forth. Well, this is what I was trying to do the first time.
Yeah. My friend, Babson grad Fritz, he actually came out with a product, a service, something like, or he was about to and paused it, but it's like a meditation where you review your whole life step by step. And so it's good to do this. So I actually got accepted for a couple of jobs. One would have been awesome. I don't regret not taking it, but it was Dark Horse Comics. I would have been like one of the head marketing people at a comic book company, like a really badass comic book company. But just the pay was like so low. I think I was making like 40 grand back in my old job in Philly. They offered me like 22 grand. I'm like, I can't. But it would have been the coolest job. The guy's like, give us 2 years, you'll be making 100K. I'm like, I can't do 22K. Sorry, bro.
All right. Now, can we talk about the beer?
Well, so I landed at this tech company and I worked there for 10 years, made a good amount of money doing tech sales, became like, a whale slayer, rainmaker, whatever, just crushing big, huge sales for 10 years. my neighbors. So I had two neighbors that live on my block that were home brewers,
Hmm.
and we were my family and I was walking back home one night from like a pizza joint or something, and they were outside drinking their home brew. The kids were playing too. You know, they both have two kids. I have two kids.
Yep.
We were all walking back. Um, they're like, hey, come have some beers. I was like, oh my God, your beer's amazing. And I think I got drunk that night and fell in love with their beer. I never had a hazy IPA. And they kind of started up in your neck of the
Oh,
woods.
hazy IPA. What does that mean? I'm not
So
sure.
IPAs historically up to like 5 years ago were real bitter. People always said they're too hoppy, right?
Mhm.
You either love them because you love the hops or you hate them because they're too bitter and hoppy.
Yep.
Um, and hazy IPAs are juicy. They're still an IPA. They still have a lot of hops, but it's the kind of hops they use and it's what stage in the brew process they use them. But they
Okay.
look like orange juice, and people who hate IPAs love hazy IPAs, and people who like IPAs love hazy IPAs. So one of my business partners now, James,
Mhm.
he was making this one in his basement, and it was a clone of a beer from out your neck of the woods. I think a brewery called Treehouse.
Yep.
So there's Trillium and Treehouse. They're kind of the big ones up there that make this style. And Alchemist, Heady Topper, whatever, right? So we started talking. I was like, why don't you guys have a brewery? Like, why aren't you doing this professionally? They're like, well, we talked about it a couple times, but we don't really know what to do. Like, what do you do? I was like, oh, dude, I got you. Like, I love talking to banks, love talking to lawyers. I had gotten an MBA at Babson a couple years earlier while I worked at Smarsh. Dude, working full time and getting an MBA at Babson was really, really tough. We did the fast track program at my Portland squad.
Yep.
So I would wake up every morning, 5 a.m., read case studies or whatever for 2 hours, study, then go to work at 7. I'd be at my desk at 7 a.m., crushing sales, like tech phone calls all day long, come home. Luckily, I had the most amazing wife, Melanie. She had like, I would go for a run, or I'd go for a quick run because, dude,
Hmm.
need to burn off that steam. Then dinner was ready, dude. It was amazing. She supported me, and then I supported her. Likewise, she went back to school too. It was
Hmm.
awesome. But then yeah, then I'd do schoolwork for another like couple hours every night, and that was it for 2 hour, 2 years straight. That was it. Besides
The
time we
difference.
went to Asia.
Well, I was gonna say the difference between what you did and so you were working. So I had been. I mean, before my MBA, I was the press secretary to Governor Romney, and so then once I started my MBA program, everyone's like, "What kind of MBA you're going to do?" I'm like, "I go, well, I'm going to do a thesis in regards of small businesses, like who I work with."
Mhm.
Of course, at the time, I didn't even know that was like what I was going to do. And I went to 14 countries in 1 year during that time. So
Wow.
I would literally be in a class, do the case studies, hop on a plane, be in a different country, be there for like 10 to 15 days, come back, and I kept on doing it. So every 3 weeks, I was in another country for a year. So oh, yeah, I get the whole entire concept of like case studies. I mean, the places I would read a case study, I get that part.
Yeah.
But all right, so
We
you
did it. Woo!
did it. We did it. We graduated. We're classmates. Woo! I always say, like, I go, I love the fact that we all have our cute little degrees. And then, of course, we graduated when the world imploded. So we'll get to that part.
Mhm.
Again, we're like, all right, so I still have to get an understanding. You taste this beer. It's amazing. How does this business come to be? Because everything that you've done up to this part is not retail. I mean,
Mhm.
you are going into the beverage industry. And yet you
Well,
started.
the record label is retail, like sort of.
Well, it is, but I mean, like, it's like, I mean, you're going to food beverage. Food beverage
Right.
is dramatically different than, so you're going in, you've jumped into different industries that the learning curve, how was the learning curve for you in regards from going from tech to music to advertising and now into Bev?
So I'd say my mantra is just execute, just get out there and hustle. And I am a hustler. I was a born hustler. So I just immediately started like talking to people about it. And, I'd get my homebrew buddies, I'd get my partners to give me homebrew and I'd give it to people and talk about it. Right. And so I started talking to banks and lawyers and accountants. And I was talking to my CEO at the time. I was like, dude, you got to try this. Like, I'm going to invest a little bit in these guys and help them get up and running. My original plan was just to help them get up and running, help them get everything and not work there full time. But just little by little, I got more excited about it. And luckily, my company, my CEO invested not too much. He invested, I think, 80 grand. And we came up with a valuation. We were like, all right, we're worth $1 million. We think we're awesome. We know this place we're going to buy. And I talked to, we bought an existing brew pub whose beer sucked and food sucked. And that was like 350, something like that, and put a little bit more into it. Total, we raised, I think, 500K. So 350 from a bank and then 150 from private investors. But I was like, all right, we're worth $1 million. So 80 grand gives you 8%, and so I had an investor, and then he let me. I was like, all right. Eventually, I wanted to quit and work full time. I was like, can I go part time? He let me keep a couple of the top big sales I was working on. So hopefully I could still have some nice commission checks flowing in for a year. And so I was like slowly phasing out of tech sales job, director of enterprise sales, into the brewery full time. So it was cool. I was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can't remember, at my desk at Smarsh doing tech sales. Thursdays, Fridays, I was at the brewery just sitting at the bar. The bar was my office.
You went so I want to get a better understanding of your company. Are you creating the beer, or are you just the overseer of this company? Like, I mean, because like most people are hearing this, for me, I'm just hearing you took over your neighbor's beer and then you kind of like push it out there, or are you now the?
No, so we're equal partners and we have different roles now. But at the beginning, they were the brewers. I would do everything else. I was like, all right, you guys just make beer. I'll do everything else, right?
Okay.
Even though they were there full time for the first year and I wasn't, I was part time. So they kind of figured out some stuff. We luckily were able to hire a friend of one of my partners to be our chef. So a couple employees stayed on. So we bought it. Through my connections, we found a brew pub that was, the guy was looking to get into the weed industry, it turned out. So he sold us his brew pub. All the employees were like, all right, y'all have jobs, right? Just for a couple months, nothing's going to change. Because it takes the federal government 6 months to give you a beer making license anyway, a brew license. So for 6 months, we just ran it like a bar. Like, all right, just everything stays the same. Keep making food. And Kaizen will make little changes every day. So every day we'll get better. We'll make the fries better today. Next day, we'll make the burger better. We'll start buying better beer from other people until we can make our own. If you fast forward today, we have distinct roles. I'm CEO. I still do all the business shit. The one guy's in charge of recipes and innovation, with the beer. The other guy's in charge of our production facility and scaling us up so we can always keep making more beer. And now we have a great team. And, luckily through COVID, we're doing fantastic. And yeah, I can answer any other questions you want about this.
now that you have the ball rolling of like answering the questions, how many beers do you have going, and how many, I'm sorry, take that back. Don't answer that one yet. You are going into the industry where everyone knows the Budweisers, the Coors, the big ones. All of a sudden, probably about 10 years ago is when a lot of those microbrews started like popping up out of every which way, especially here in Boston. And everyone's starting to come up, like you're starting to see these small organizations having their following, and people are just like, I'm following this group of individuals that are creating this most amazing beer. They don't want to mass produce on a large scale.
Right.
How did you have to, like, what was your role in regards to, I'm going into this industry, it is huge. It's not like, it is huge globally. How did you find your spot? Oregon is known just as much as Boston is known for beer. How did you find that spot where you're now to the point where you're leveraging all of what you know and you're getting a lot of visibility for the beer that you have?
Sure. So the hazy IPAs, right, at the very beginning, no one on the West Coast, no one in the Northwest was making that. So right off the bat, we had a major niche, right? We made a beer that no one else was making and people were intrigued by it. They're like, IPAs should be clear. They should be super hoppy, not juicy. So we had a product that people, they thought they hated it before they even tried it, but everyone was talking about it. Yep. And then we also did a style that also wasn't known out here at all. Just we call them culinary inspired sours and stouts. We make beer that tastes like fun food, right? Because I say keep beer fun. So we make beer that tastes like a blueberry muffin or a strawberry shortcake or a key lime pie. So we have super fun flavors, super fun characters on our beer. And my name, so this mantra, I'm going to start dishing out company-wide. You're kind of the first person that I'm testing it out on big time. But from the way customers buy our beer to what they get when they drink it and crack it open and smell it, we want to be like, oh my God, holy crap, right? Wow, this is so fun. And then the way they get the beer, all of that's going to be fun. The whole spectrum. It's going to be fun to buy it because we're the first brewery in the world to have like a really big, can I say ASS? Can I say that?
Ass?
Yes, thank you.
Ass. So you can't put ass with another word, but yes, you can say ass.
I won't. We're the first brewery in the world to have a really badass app. There's some that have like a really boring, like, here's our logo, you can buy the beer and do nothing else. Ours is like, it's I want to say earth shattering, but not yet. The next release is going to be. Okay. We're adding all this cool Pokemon Go augmented reality into it. You can like drink a beer with our characters, like right here. You can, you can have a video game. We have this female lumberjack named Victoria Lane. She's awesome. It's kind of like a Frogger style game where she's climbing up a tree. It's just super fun. There's origin stories of like all our characters.
Yeah.
So you asked how many beers. We've made hundreds of beers because we focus on making new beers all the time.
Okay.
We don't like always have a lager, always have a stout, always have a
Well,
brown.
are they I mean, are your beers seasonal? I mean, so do you? So you say you have?
Yes, but we don't even want to call
That's
them.
very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming when you saying you have hundreds of beer. Like, what do I know you for? I mean, like, am I only knowing you for the fun, or am I knowing you for this rich, amazing taste? Am I knowing you for the haziness? Like, because there's Jelly Bellies, which of course back in the day, jelly beans. And then Jelly Bellies came where like it was that moment where like every time I taste something, I'm tasting popcorn or whatever's. So are you going to be known for the every year there's going to be another jelly bean, and then there's only seasonal jelly beans for the beer?
So we have to answer it. We're always coming out with new beer, but we do have ones that frequently come back, but they're not on schedule.
They're not on sale. What do you mean they're not on sale?
Not on schedule. Like,
oh, they're not on schedule.
You can't bet that once a month we're always going to come out with blueberry muffin, for example.
So you have those individuals that are following you and they wait for that moment. You drop something and it's like it's sold out. Like it's sold out because people are so excited because it's back.
Correct. Yep. And on the app, we tried to design our app like Nike. Like if you're always looking for when the new Jordans are coming out, or you want to see when those red Jordan 4s are coming out, like, and then you see it and it's got a countdown clock, like, oh snap, this is coming out on Friday, you know?
Well, I love that you're doing that because it just reminds me of like, I mean, because I do remember when Adidas was putting out a specific sneaker and people would line up and sleep and wait. And everyone's like, this is the most insane thing in the world. And you're like, and they're like, oh, are you going to wear them? No, 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 no. You don't wear them. You just own them.
Are you talking about Yeezys? Yep. So yeah, we definitely took a cue from that. So we've had lines out our doors since like a couple months into, I'd say like 3 months after we were open and serving beer, there was a line because we bought this thing called a crowler back in 2015. Yeah. And it's not a growler, it's a can. It's a large 32-ounce can. We were the first one in the Northwest to have it. And we promoted, we said like, hey, we're going to have this special one come out this weekend, 9 a.m. on Saturday. And there was a line. And, that's kind of how it started. And we kind of, again, we took notes from some breweries out your way on how to do that stuff. And we told our employees, like, this is our goal. Since we're talking business, like, we don't distribute our beer. We don't want to distribute our beer. Okay. I mean, sometimes for fun or whatever, but 95% of our sales, we want to go direct into the hands of beer drinkers. But like I said, we just sent some beer to Boston. Once in a while, we spread it. I'd say like twice a year, we'll send some beer to Boston or Philly or New York or wherever. But other than that, it's direct in the customer's hands. And real soon, it's going to be shipped right to their front doors too.
What do you say to a person that says, I don't like beer? I'm that person. I mean, there's two folds for me. I was raised in a household, Haitian parents. Young ladies do not drink beer. Mm-hmm. So, and in a Haitian household, Heinies were the only things you ever saw because we all went for the whiskey, the rum, the bourbon. So Heineken or hard liquor. Right. So I never got into beer. I lived in Ireland, love Guinness, love Guinness. And everyone's like, so dramatic from Heineken. I'm like, I didn't drink Heinies. I just grew up with them. But right. And Guinness, because I worked at a bar, the brown girl was serving brown beer. I made a lot of money. I like that. What do you say to a person that is intrigued and you're saying all these flavors? And I'm like, I love all those flavors. Cigars are now coming up with flavored cigars because not just because they've always had them, flavored cigars to tap into that market that doesn't like cigars. What's that selling point to an
individual? People you dumped the tobacco out, you put the weed in it anyway. That's a blunt. Yeah. Right?
Okay. Which is true. But what do you say to that person that where they're intrigued with that marketing and they love the app, they love the cartoons, they love everything that you're creating. They want to be part of your world, but they don't drink beer. What do you do to convince them? Or do you convince them?
So we make beer for people that love beer and we make beer for people that does not like beer. Do you like blueberry muffins? If so, the liquid version of that.
All right, so we're gonna talk about that afterwards because I'm gonna have to try that because I mean I can drink a beer, but I'm like, oh, I can't sit there and say I'm gonna go after one. So I'm like intrigued with the fact that someone is able to really make it taste like something else other than the typical beer that you're drinking.
Well, that's what we frequently get written up about us is like, wow, Great Ocean, puts these flavors on the can label and like it actually tastes like it. And so that's why people love our flights. If the world was normal, you can come have a flight of like 5 different beers. You get to taste the rainbow because they're beautifully colored.
Taste the rainbow. You said it because you just said it. If the world was different, what was it like in March? So now you're 4 years into this, right?
Yeah, 5.
5. You're 5 years into this. Mid-March, rumbling starts. You have
Mhm.
a business. Tell me how it was for you in March, all the way through. Summer months are the times where people are drinking beer a lot, and then you're like coming towards a new year. What was it like at the beginning for you, for your team, for the product?
Yeah, so we're very, very, very lucky. I feel extremely bad for our restaurant staff that we're forced to lay off as we get told we're not allowed to have people inside eating and drinking. But we're very, very lucky that people drink at the best of times and the worst of times, and that we have such a strong brand. Like we're nearing 100,000 Instagram followers, which no other brewery in our neighbor in Portland can say that. And so for us, people would line up every weekend, and every time we came out with a new beer, people would line up to buy cases of it. And because they know we don't distribute our beer outside of Oregon, it's hard to get, And so there's these beer traders, and they will buy cases of beer from us and trade the beer with other people, or they just sell it on the black market. There's lots of websites online where people just sell our beer because you can only get it in Oregon, right? We don't normally send it out. You can't walk into a bar in Miami or wherever, or Tallahassee or whatever, dude, I don't know, and get that beer. So you have to buy it from locals, right? So for us, that continued. It didn't stop. And yes, we had to stop selling burgers and fries, and we lost some merchandise sales with if people can't come in person, but we still are making and selling all the beer that we can make. And we actually got new tanks in the middle of all this. We had new tanks installed, lots of huge new tanks, and can make more beer, and we're still selling it. We also here's the other thing. We have 3 locations, and our third location opened in Portland in February, and we had to shut it down in March. And then we had plans to open 1 or maybe even 2 locations in Seattle. Our second one got opened first. We dumb lucked into a location in Seattle in the Georgetown neighborhood. So we opened that in June, and starting on Monday actually is when we're going to start selling our first beers in our second Seattle location.
So what happened to the second location in Oregon? Did you not? So you opened it in February. So is it open?
Oh, sorry. So sorry. We bought our first location in 2015. Second location in Oregon opened to make beer in 2017, and then the restaurant part in 2018. So we had
Okay.
2, and then the third opened in February. And then by the end of this year, we're having 2 new ones pop. So 3 locations opening this year, 2 of which are 3 hours north of the other ones.
This is one of the things that I'm telling people all the time, where small businesses, one, are finding ways to continue to grow, but also you're growing. Like you're hearing about gyms opening and closing. People are not understanding that there are alternative ways of growing your business during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to a person that has had somewhat of a background like you, jumping around from different industries, and then decides to start their own business? What would you say in regards of that person, but also what are you saying to that person that's listening to you now and thinking, I'm working at home, I'm getting paid by someone, but I really just don't want to be here anymore and I want to start something new? Should I go and get my MBA? Should I just hustle? How does that work for me?
Dude, I'd say keep that job since you're at home while you can. Keep that income for your family or for your 401k or whatever, and start that other business right now. The number one thing is just hustle. Just go do it right now.
You keep saying hustle. Not everyone knows how to do that. I say that I don't know why we don't have a university of sales, because like hustlers can sell. You are a hustler, you know how to sell. To find a salesperson, it's pretty nearly impossible to find a good one. How does one find someone like you?
That's a good question. Talk to people and network and see who that's willing to it's just I even think back at being a teenager, I would go and talk to, I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to 20 girls today. Maybe I'll get a date or whatever, maybe in the mall or whatever, or back in college. This is no joke. I really would say back in college at Temple, I was like, all right, I literally am going to talk to 20 girls today. I bet it's the numbers, just the sales game. I was like, I bet I get 5 phone numbers, 3 phone numbers, whatever. And then one of them will work out, as a date, whatever. And so that's just talk to lots of people, find out, just you'll get their vibe of who's willing to go up and talk to anyone or challenge them. Go talk to 5 random people, make 5 random phone calls to local reporters or whatever. See if you can accomplish A, B, or C. Call Comcast, ask for that discount or whatever. Call your utility company, right? Stuff like that. If most people are afraid to do things like that.
Well, I was gonna say, that's the thing. They're hearing you and they're seeing your energy and they're like, oh, well, it's easy for him. And yet you just said it. Thank you for very much. Most people are afraid of it. How do we get away from that fear? Our personalities automatically, like we see something, we're like, oh, I love a good task. And I don't like just the task, I like big things. Where people are like, that's outlandish. I'm like, the more outlandish, the more I'm gonna go for it. You're playing the numbers game. There are people that I go, they want it, the fear is there. What is that thing that they need to like do to get rid of the fear or lessen the fear?
Yeah, I don't know. Practice in the mirror, dude. I don't know. Practice on a friend or a cat or a plant, you know, whatever. And here's the thing. I still do this every day. Like as I'm CEO of a company, I get these random ideas, dude. I'm always having crazy, like the other day I was like, all right, I still write my own press release. I don't know why I need to stop just because I got that degree back in the day. So I'm writing one about us starting the ship and our boxes are really badass. And I was thinking about these boxes and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call up the box company and see if they want to do a trade. Like, hey, I'll put your name, I'll hype you up big time in my press release if you give me a major discount on our next order. You know, and I right away reached out to some top level peeps at that company and I tried. They didn't understand the branding. They didn't understand what 100,000 Instagram followers, you know, could help with them. So whatever, but at least I tried. Next day I was like, you know what? I love Wired magazine. And I don't know, like someone mentioned it and I was like, I used to love that magazine so much. I haven't read in a while. I was like, oh my God, our app would be the perfect story in that magazine. So we just reached out to a couple people, found someone, and hopefully he's going to write an article on us real soon. Just these ideas, and you just got to go do it. By saying hustle, I just mean go do it. Get off your ass and go do whatever pops in your mind. Boom, do it.
What is the thing that you added to the company that you would have probably not added right now because of the pandemic? We had all this time. We had no idea what was going on, especially in the restaurant and beverage industry.
Cool.
No idea what was going on. Something that you pushed away from where I'm not going to go after, and something that you added where like, I would have probably done this probably 5-10 years down the line, or I would have never done it at all, but it's on my lap. What was that thing for your company that brought it to another level?
Sure. Dude, we were thinking about, so I have to say we're a little different than most companies because we were thinking about launching an app to sell direct to customers and focus more on just selling more beer direct to customers, less about restaurants. We had been thinking about that for a long time and spending a lot of money to work on this app. We were hoping to launch the app whether pandemic hit or not. And now every single other brewery wants an app to sell more beer direct to customers without like, you know, contactless sales, for example, right?
Well, I was gonna say, do you think it's because now they're watching you, or they're realizing no one's coming into our storefront?
Oh, they're all both. I mean, yeah, both. They're definitely everyone's asking us now, like, dude, how'd you do that? Like, how long did it take? How much did it cost? When did you start it? Whatever. And it's bad news to all of them that, hey, we were a year ahead and it cost us 50 times more than we thought too, you know, but hey, you guys got a lot of work ahead of you. Maybe I'll sell you ours though. Maybe we'll license it or something like that. But one thing we are starting to pivot. You could use the word pivot. Everyone's using these days, right? Pivot towards, but
not my favorite word. It's not my favorite word because everyone does use it. It's overused. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. You pivoted.
So an alternative business model. You're right. So less of the restaurants. Brew pubs are huge out here in Portland. They're not that big in the rest of the country, but you know, we're a place where you make the beer and you have the restaurant. Everyone, you know, you bring your family, whatever. So we're going to start doing less of that though. So in future locations that we open, they're going to be more fulfillment centers where customers just pick up their phone, they buy our beer on the app, and then they come there to pick it up. Or that fulfillment center is where we do local delivery with DoorDash right to their house, or we ship it overnight to them if they're not in like a city area, you know?
Where do you think the industry is going on right now? Because again, we grew up with the Budweisers, the Coors, the traditionals forever. And then again, the micros start coming out. Where do you see the industry converting? Will you guys actually get a huge part of the market, or will it just be continually, or do you think that you're going to get acquired by these big firms because they realize they're taking a share of my market space and I just need to get them out of the way?
Right. I think that answer is going to be different for every brewery. With us, we probably won't sell because there's 3 partners that each have differing opinions on everything. That's why it's kind of good to have 3 partners because there's always a vote. There's always that tiebreaker. But yeah, we once a week meet and go through 100 items and every one of them is a debate. But luckily there's a tiebreaker on every single thing. So we won't sell because 2 out of 3 do not want to. Okay. But other breweries, you know, they might if they have a great brand. There's been a lot of them getting gobbled up. During this time, we'll see a bunch of them that have really boring old school flavors like just a lager and a brown ale. They're going to go out of business because more and more customers want some fruity seltzer or, pumpkin ale that Budweiser makes fun of, during the Super Bowl ads. But I think people want that. They want fun flavors.
They want variety. We're living in a world where why be okay with what's just like the standard. You can get a lot of different varieties, and you're giving them the opportunity to do that, to like try something new that they probably would have never done, especially right now where I'm home, or I'm just going to, literally I can throw a rock to my liquor store every day. Like, it was the best because I could actually look out the window, see if there was a line. And I'm like, okay, now I'll go. And they saw me coming. They knew they carry Haitian rum. I live in a town by the water. Haitian rum is everywhere. I knew that was the right town for me because every liquor store carries Haitian rum. But they carry, they go out to find alternative liquors, alternative beers, because they know that in a small town of 20,000 people want to try new. They don't do the standard. So I love the fact that you're giving people that opportunity. If you are thinking about not only the industry, but the restaurants, so you're going to move away from it. You're hearing about how a lot of these restaurants aren't going to survive. A lot of beer companies, and I know you said that you're like going right to like the consumer, but a lot of these beers are being tested out at restaurants. That's where people are finding the love for it. Think about where back in the day, music, if you didn't have a record rep, you tested your waters on some Dawson's Creek, some TV show, and then finally you found a following of people that would have never heard about your music. So would you, one, have your beer in any of these restaurants? One, but two, with all this conversation about how restaurants are not going to survive this. This season, a lot of restaurants are being closed down, no more outdoor seatings. A lot of places are being told, well, you know what, you are, you're in a winter area where there's snow, so indoor seating is not even a thing. So I'm jumbling up the question, but how are you, or are you willing to put your beer in locations that are restaurants indoors? And also, where do you think the industry will go?
Right. So I do see a lot of places closing, over the next few months, and it sucks. It's a big shame, but you know what? New stuff's gonna open. Sorry. So
the F1 is the only one you're not allowed to use. It's okay. Okay. Anything else?
Okay. Yeah. New stuff's gonna open. No big deal. There'll be innovation. There's always innovation in food. There's always cool new restaurants popping up. And yeah, so stuff will open. I'm not worried about that. And we actually do, although I say we don't distribute, right? I said 95% because 5% we do. And I had picked out, there was this one, I love my wife's Thai. I love Thai food, right? I also love barbecue. There was this one restaurant in Portland called Eam that was just like us. It's 3 owners. They took like one of the coolest bartenders in town, the best barbecue pit master in town, and the coolest like Thai chef who does like really, really awesome Isan style, like great Thai food, legit, not just like a boring curry, right? They got together. They make Thai barbecue with the best cocktails, like tiki cocktails. So they're Eam. I tried it. I was blown away. And I knew it was going to be big. So there's big lines there. I was like, we need our beer there. So I just hit them up myself. I was like, hey, dude, we make the best beer in town. Look at our Instagram, lots of followers. I was like, we don't distribute any other restaurant in town. I want our beers at your place. He's like, done, dude, we'd love to have it. So we now constantly have an IPA that rotates weekly. Whatever. He's like, we'll take whatever you sell us. And since we don't always have one flavor, they're just constantly getting one juicy IPA. And so I do think that helped us because there's more foodies than beer nerds. I think, more people are into food and blog about it and Instagram it and everything. So yeah, so that's where I wanted to be.
Smart. I think that's like smart business in every single way. Literally my takeaway from this conversation is like the whole time, it is literally the hustling, but just combating your fear just to get your product out there. If you believe in it, to get more people and more visibility, which is huge. Where do you want to see yourself? Let's say in a year from now, where do you want to see the company? And in respects to, it's only in Oregon. How do we get it in other locations? Let's just say someone's listening to this. Like, how does one get it if we can't get it? Like, most states don't allow alcohol shipment.
Right. So you've got to follow our Instagram, right? And see when we're going to do a drop. So we just did a drop in the Boston area not too long ago. It was the set.
When you say a drop, are you is someone driving through the state? How is that happening?
Oh, no. So it means the beer is released. It comes out. And so we sent it through a beer distributor and then they delivered it. So we sent like 2 pallets. I don't know, maybe like 200 cases of beer got sprinkled to cool little bottle shops and beer bars throughout town.
Okay, nice. All right, I want to get on the.
You could probably find it in Boston right now. Like literally.
Well, no. Again, we're going to sit there and figure it out because that might be Christmas presents for a couple of people that I know.
Right.
Definitely appreciate that. All right, so my last question. Oh no, wait. Before my last.
Sorry, but to go to that, we will start shipping in other states. So the liquor laws are horrible, right? But there are certain states that have ones that are more friendly than others. And so those states, we will start shipping direct to customers in the new year. We started with Oregon. We're shipping to Oregon now. And then in 2021, we're rolling out at least 10 other states in Q1.
Okay. How was it running this business during a pandemic with a young family?
It's been fun because I get to help my wife with virtual school, and every day from 12 to 1, it's daddy recess time. So we eat very quickly and then we go outside on a walk or skateboard or ride bikes or whatever. But yeah, I have 2 daughters. I love hanging with them, try to squeeze fun things in throughout the day. But my wife's kicking butt at virtual school with them.
Yeah, I follow you, and you guys have a fun life. Look, you're a fun person, but you guys have created a very fun life with those girls, and I'm always just like watching, and I'm like, oh, you guys are just so cute.
Dude, we need to find your book. Yeah, I read it a couple times when we first got it, and I have no clue where it is now. But we also have a million books because.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the picture that you sent me of the girls reading the book, I use all the time because it's the sweetest book in the world.
Yeah, please do.
Oh yeah, we do that. Last question. Oh, no, I keep saying last question, but I just have more. Your family, not your wife, now that they see you doing this, they watched you do all this other stuff. Where are they now with you?
Oh, they're excited. It's funny too. When I first started the brewery, they told me like a year ago or something, they're like, yeah, we did not think that brewery was going anywhere. And now they're blown away. Yeah. Now they have like, my dad will be wearing this shirt in Philly and someone will comment and he's like, wow, you're famous now or something like that. I was like, yeah, but yeah, no, they dig it now.
The whole entire concept of believing in your dream. I like it a lot. Okay, now this is my last question. If you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you right now, what would be your personal ask and your professional ask?
Sure. So personal ask, buy our beer if you're able. if you have the money and are curious, want to try something new, and it's also potentially available to you, then go buy it. And professional, does anyone want to send me tips on better advertising on Facebook, Instagram? Always trying to learn more about those algorithms and how all that works. Also follow us on Instagram. Great Notion. Simple. We dropped the brewery. Just Great Notion.
Well, no, the following definitely I'll put that out there. But more so, can we play? I mean, if I don't drink your beer, can I get on your app? Can I follow the characters? I mean, is there other ways to support you other than drinking the beer? Because I mean, I don't have to drink you, but I could wear your shirt, your T-shirt, your app. Is there a game? Is there other ways to get involved in supporting you?
There is. Yep. You can download our app and check it out. The games aren't on there yet, but they might be by the time people see this. They might be.
That would be good. Paul. Oh, wait. I think you should end it with a rap. Do you want to rap? Do you want to sit there and throw it?
Yeah, you might ask that. I do not. Yeah. Check out my friend Jody. Yeah, dude. I don't got it. I do one like once a year at our company party, but we didn't have a company party this year for me to get tipsy and freestyle. But I might in a mile give you a smile. Yeah, if you hang a while. No, that's so whack.
I love you so much because you are so out of the box. And I mean, people see me and they're like large personality. You're always out there, high energy. And I'm like, I have a friend that can beat me, like run circles around me.
No way. No, I can't. Didn't you take your niece or something and go to like 50 states in 50 minutes? And
I look all New England states in one day because it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, look, I do a lot of crazy things. That
was awesome.
Your energy, it was fun. It was a fun day. Like, so we did this like for her birthday. I mean, I shouldn't say it was her birthday. It was just like Auntie Jody days. We called them Auntie Jody days, where she had to wait two years for Auntie Jody Day, where I went to we attempted 6 states in one day. 10 hours in the car, 6 hours doing activities outside the car. It was absolutely insane. I picked her up at 6 a.m. I dropped her off at 11. Her mom kept texting, should I go to bed now? I'm like, yeah, I'd go to bed because we're not coming home. We're still on the road. And she's like, she has school tomorrow. I'm like, she knows she has to get up. And she was up before mom and dad were up, ready to school, so excited to talk about her day.
Awesome. Yeah, it looked so much fun. You kick butt. You're great on.
Paul, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking some time. I mean, literally, like, again, you're wild and crazy. People are like, how the hell did this like conversation get to the point where they're so crazy, so high energy, and then they just petered off, and we got the information that we needed to promote who you are.
Thank you so much for having me. Definitely appreciate it, Jody. What's up,
All right,
listeners?
well, that, and also I just want you to know this is not the last conversation, because in order to support small businesses, the conversation has to continue, and it's just the first of many more conversations. I mean, I promised everyone at the beginning, I thought this was just going to be a couple of weeks of just promoting a couple of small businesses, but I realize more and more that there's so many similarities with all of you guys around the world that I'm talking to, that I want you guys to know that I'm not going away. Like, I want to be here, and I want to support. And I don't want you guys to go away, because 1, you're creating, 2, you're employing, and 3, you're forcing other people to think differently about small businesses. So
thank you. Thanks for having me.
bye, honey bunny. Love you too.